every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Good evening and thank you for joining us on CoreTV Primetime News. I am Ebulomo Adekunle. In our major story, major oil marketers say the fuel scarcity currently going on in the country will soon disappear. They, however, dismiss any political undertone. Also in this program, the All Progressives Congress raises the alarm over what it describes as the plot by the federal government and the People's Democratic Party to rig the forthcoming general elections with the aid of foreigners. A federal high court in Abuja has ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission to register the Young Democratic Party. And outside Nigeria, Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott says the imminent execution of some of its citizens in Indonesia is revolting as the nation abhors the death penalty. Oil marketers have denied allegations that the nationwide fuel shortage has political undertones. They say now that the authorities have released money to them, the situation will improve. The marketers specifically say queues would disappear in Lagos and Abuja within the next 12 hours.
It's almost a week since these fuel queues were first noticed in some parts of the country. Now, it's a nationwide problem with claims and counterclaims by politicians. Oil marketers have, however, cleared the air on the situation. After receiving part payment of what is owed them, they admitted that money is at the root of the fuel shortage. The marketers were also quick to dismiss allegations of sabotage for political reasons.
Let me make it clear. For me, I'm not a politician. The only duty I'll perform as a Nigerian is to get up from my house and go and vote on the day of voting. We don't do politics. Ours is, we brought in product, there's need to reimburse us, the money didn't come on time, okay? And so our ability to sustain supply was hampered. That is all.
They also gave clear assurances on the disappearance of fuel queues in major cities.
It's unfortunate the whole thing happened that way, but it won't, the whole thing will start easing off. In Lagos, I assure you, it will start easing off from today because of the volume that we have put into the market, okay? Abuja, because of the distance, because we are still moving this product from Lagos to Abuja, okay? And it takes some days for trucks to transit Lagos, Abuja.
The marketers are convinced that only the deregulation of the downstream sector will put a stop to the situation that led to the fuel shortage. They are also demanding the passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill.
The federal government has issued sovereign debt notes of 30 billion naira to oil marketers out of the outstanding amount of 185 billion naira. Minister of Finance Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala said this after a meeting with oil marketers in Abuja, which also had Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele in attendance. She added that an additional 100 billion naira would soon be released to the marketers.
I had earlier mentioned and want to confirm that the marketers are here. We will pay them the exchange rate differentials that have been calculated by PPPRA. Already today, we are ready to release 30 billion from that, and we'll do more on top of that tomorrow as soon as we receive the numbers from PPPRA. But more importantly, the SDNs, we have calculated, as I said, I want to repeat the numbers. In December 2nd and 31st, we paid 320 billion naira to marketers. Since then, the total that has been finalized by PPPRA, as you know, these things keep coming in on a rolling basis. What we have on hand now that we owe is 185 billion. Of that amount, we are issuing sovereign debt notes, SDNs, which is the instrument with which we pay the marketers, to the tune of 100 billion. And so they are here. We've had a chance to talk to ourselves. So we will issue that shortly. They have actually been.
In the same vein, the federal government says the long queues in filling stations across the country will soon be over, with the conclusion of plans to settle the backlog of subsidy payment to oil marketers. Speaking shortly after the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, says the President has directed that speedy action should be taken to restore normalcy. The minister added that after paying oil marketers 320 billion naira in December 2014, the government is working out modalities to clear the outstanding 185 billion naira.
Fuel marketers and the fuel marketing situation, the scarcity and the lines of the queues being experienced in the country. We discussed that at the Federal Executive Council because Mr. President wants as quick action to improve the situation as fast as possible. And so after the briefing and discussion on both the financial and the physical side, what emanates is that this situation we hope will soon be resolved, because both on the financial side, action has been taken and is being implemented both through the Ministry of Finance and the Governor of the Central Bank. We have let it be known that in December we paid 320.6 billion naira to marketers to settle their claims. And as of now, what we have approved by PPPR is about 185 billion outstanding, which we are issuing sovereign debt notes to them that they will be paid. Actually, at 2 o'clock this afternoon, we're having a full press conference on this issue with the marketers, and I invite those of you who are interested at the Ministry of Finance with the Governor of the Central Bank to participate. But the long and short of the matter is that the financial issues have been taken care of. The physical quantities are being loaded to be brought to Abuja and to Lagos and other cities that are suffering, so that hopefully by Thursday, beginning tomorrow next, we should begin to see these queues reduced as quantities, supplies arrive up to Saturday. We hope in Abuja will be cleared.
And now we move from field to politics. The All Progressives Congress has raised the alarm over what it describes as steps being taken by the PDP-led federal government to ensure that the general elections is in its favor and subverts the will of Nigerians. National Publicity Secretary of the party, Lai Mohammed, made this allegation in Lagos while speaking to journalist Patience Ajiboye, who was there, filed in this report.
National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, Lai Mohammed, who spoke to the media in Lagos, says the PDP has, amongst other plots, employed two Israelis and a Belgian to tamper with electoral material to give the party a huge advantage that will lead to its victory in the general elections.
There's a plot to transfer a humongous amount of money into the bank account of the INEC chairman, Professor Jega, and then claim that the money came from the Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the APC in order to justify the ongoing plan to sack Professor Jega so he won't organize the elections. Beyond Jega, there's also a plan to credit the bank accounts of some key national institutions with huge amounts of money purportedly from our party, the APC, ostensibly to compromise those institutions. There's a plan to use some political parties that are satellites of the PDP to push for the postponement of the election again. The plot is to get the parties to address a press conference to say the election should not hold in the northeastern part of Nigeria until September 2015 because of the ongoing counter-insurgency battle there. The intention is to make sure Jega's tenure expires before the polls so that they can appoint a malleable card-carrying member of the PDP as INEC chair to conduct the polls. There is a plan to use the security agencies to intimidate key opposition leaders, as well as the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, and telecoms communication services providers to disrupt voice and data transmission during elections, especially in APC strongholds. And as we have said earlier, the telephones of our leaders have been bugged and their movements are being daily monitored. The presidency has retained the services of 2 Israelis and an Australian and a Belgian who are currently holed up in the villa to hack and corrupt INEC computers on election day, with the trial having already been paid 25% of their contract fees upfront. There is a plan to use the security agencies to intimidate key opposition leaders, as well as the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, and telecoms communication services providers to disrupt voice and data transmission during elections, especially in APC strongholds. And as we have said earlier, the telephones of our leaders have been bugged and their movements are being daily monitored.
He added that the desperation of the PDP to win the elections at all costs is despicable and unprecedented in the history of the nation.
Those at the helms of affairs have grown so desperate that they do not even want the elections to hold. And even if the elections must hold at all, they must be held on their own terms. That is, no PVCs, no card readers, no Jega, and the military must be deployed to intimidate voters.
He says the alleged plot came to the knowledge of the party through well-meaning Nigerians who do not want the failure of the democratic process.
The detailed plans by the desperate administration and the PDP are part of the massive intelligence we are receiving daily from patriotic Nigerians within and outside the government, who are eager to see the organization of a free, fair, credible, and violence-free elections that will catapult Nigeria to the League of Truly Democratic Nations. We have decided to share this information we are receiving with Nigerians because we believe that no power is strong enough to stop a people who are determined to effect change in the way and manner they are being governed, and that the ultimate power resides in the people. We have no doubt that the information will fortify the local and international observers who are coming for the elections, in addition to enhancing the vigilance of the citizenry before, during, and after the polls.
He thus establishes that no process is strong enough to stop people from seeking change, and also calls on all Nigerians, as well as international bodies, to be on the lookout for the anti-democratic antics of the PDP. Patience Ajiboye, CoreTV News, Lagos.
The All Progressives Congress presidential campaign team has described the wife of the president, Patience Jonathan, as an incredibly crude woman. It also wants the president to call her to order after she described the APC presidential candidate as brain dead at a recent campaign rally. The party's campaign team said in a statement issued in Abuja that it was discourteous and inexcusable for a wife of any president to make such a false and infertile pronouncement about the health status of another man on account of politics. Its spokesman, Garba Shehu, recalls Mrs. Jonathan had also been stoking the embers of violence when she urged PDP supporters to stone all those canvassing for change in Calabar. It said it was below the standard of a wife of a president to stoop so low to call for violent attacks against members of the opposition. The People's Democratic Party says it is not strategizing to shift the election dates, contrary to suggestions by the All Progressives Congress. It also insisted that it has no plan to either frame the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Atahiru Jega, or arrest any opposition leader before the elections. Spokesman for PDP's presidential campaign team, Femi Fanikayode, maintained that the latest claims by the APC showed that it has lost focus. He also argued at a news conference in Abuja that the opposition party is now resorting to falsehood to gain public sympathy after realizing that it would lose the March 28th elections.
The truth is that we are not strategizing to shift the election dates. We are not trying to frame up Jega. We have no plans to plant any illegal substance in the bags of any of the leaders of the APC whenever they travel. We are not trying to compromise the telephone numbers of any of the INEC officials. President Jonathan is not planning to arrest opposition leaders before the elections. The presidency has not retained the services of any foreigner to corrupt or compromise INEC computers on election day. And we are not planning to do any of the other reprehensible things that they have alleged. The truth is that if they were in our position, these are the sort of sordid things that they would do. Such dirty tactics and filthy things are a way of life and an art with them. But for us, such things are alien, perverse, and unacceptable.
The House of Representatives on Tuesday ruled against a perceived plot to remove the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Atahiru Jega, before the March 28th presidential election. It also insists that any further shift in the general elections could result in crisis in the country. But some lawmakers believe that the motion was speculative since there was no plan to remove Jega. Pius Samuel reports.
The alleged plan to ease the INEC chairman out of office had in recent times been an issue of national concern, in spite of insurance from President Jonathan. But Ali Ahmed, who represents Ilorin East and South Federal Constituency in Kwara State, deemed it necessary to raise the matter in the House. He described it as an attempt to tamper with the status quo of the general election and urged the House to call on the authorities not to interfere with the present composition of INEC.
The House notes that the initial postponement of the general elections for 6 weeks due to the security concerns related to the Boko Haram insurgency has further heightened the tempo of pre-electoral violence, alarmed by the possibility, threats, and insinuation to precipitate actions that would cause further alteration to the status quo arrangements and regulation of the general elections, concerned that any alteration to the status quo arrangements in whatever form at this crucial stage would invariably lead to further postponement of the date of elections.
But soon after the motion was raised, Deputy House Leader argued that it was speculative in nature.
This motion, clearly, as good as you may hear it, is totally speculative. You have not been able to quote or tell us precisely what actually is happening. And where we sit down and we start taking speculative motions, I think at the end of the day we may draw some unnecessary conclusion. In the body of the motion, I did not hear any specific identification or a clear position And I think it is extremely important that we don't just start speculating for unnecessary speculation. Nobody, and I repeat, nobody is interested in removing Jega. Because at the end of the day, we want a free and fair election. Hold on, please. Let me land. Hold on. Let me land. That is the prayer of the motion.
Speaker of the House of Representatives, Aminu Tambuwal, overruled Ogo and subjected the motion to a voice vote.
Those in support of this motion, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it.
The House subsequently resolved that Jega remained in office to preside over the rescheduled elections. It also warned the authorities on the implication of tampering with the existing schedule of the elections. Pius Samuel, CoreTV News, Abuja.
It's the CoreTV Primetime News. We'll go on a short break and we'll be back with details of the screening of ministerial nominees by the Senate. Don't go away.
From time immemorial, women have birthed life, shaped character, and by extension, influenced the society. Moremi of Ife, Emoten of Benin, Queen Aminat of Zaria, all women of influence and power.
Whether it's before election, after election.
How ironical. Women being so powerful, yet have few grounds in decision making.
They see you as a wife, and I see you as a wife to a man.
We are talking women in politics.
A woman will be bold enough to stand up and say, I want to become president of Nigeria.
Only on CoreTV News.
Many thanks for being there, and if you're just joining us, it's the CoreTV Primetime News, and here are the stories that made our headlines. Major oil marketers say the fuel scarcity currently going on in the country will soon disappear. They, however, dismiss any political undertone. The All Progressives Congress raises the alarm over what it described as the plot by the federal government and the People's Democratic Party to rig the forthcoming general elections with the aid of foreigners. A federal high court in Abuja has ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission to register the Young Democratic Party. And for more news and other information, you can visit our social media platforms. On Facebook, facebook.com/CoreTV News. Our Twitter handle @CoreTV News NG. And on YouTube, youtube.com/CoreTV, /space, news. A federal high court sitting in Abuja has ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission to register the Young Democratic Party, YDP, as a political party. The party had gone to court to challenge INEC's decision not to register it as a political party. The electoral umpire was said to have received the party's application on April 1st, 2014, but only notified the applicant of its decision not to register it on September 15th, 2014. But in his judgment, Justice Ahmed Mohammed held that YDP was deemed registered when INEC failed to inform the party of its decision not to register it as a political party within 30 days of receiving its application as required by Electoral Act 2010. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is to carry out field testing of card readers in 12 states, including Lagos, on March 7th. The exercise will hold simultaneously in the states selected across all 6 geopolitical zones. INEC also revealed that over 55 million permanent voter cards, representing 80.24% of the total number of cards, have so far been collected nationwide. As part of preparations for the general elections, the Commission has scheduled a series of meetings with resident electoral commissioners, political parties, and international observers in the coming week.
We are prepared for the elections proper. Each voting point, we have a card reader, and like we said, we are going to have what we call redundancies. There will be spares If by chance anyone gets technically faulty, they will be quickly replaced. But I know that it will cover 12 of the 36 states and the FCT. Yes, so we have chosen 2 states in each geopolitical zone.
Ekiti State is among the 12 slated for the test run of the electronic smart card readers. And then according to the Independent National Electoral Commission, this is to experience how the card readers will perform in real-time election situation. Rashid has more on the address of the Ekiti State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Sam Olumeko, about the 7th March test run of the device.
The efficiency or otherwise of the electronic smart card readers has been a source of worry to a lot of stakeholders in the electoral process, despite the assurances of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Though INEC Chairman Atahiru Jega has gone as far as the floor of the Senate to prove the device efficiency, but the doubts still remain, and with this in mind, the Commission has decided on a real-life test run. 12 states have been chosen to serve as the testing ground for the exercise, with Ekiti one of those chosen for the exercise.
Arising from some misgivings of certain sections and stakeholders about the use of smart card readers for voter authentication, the Commission has decided that card readers should be put to test under real settings to determine the efficacy of the machine and identify problems. The field test has been scheduled to hold on Saturday, 7th March 2015.
Ekiti, being the first state where permanent voter card was used in Nigeria and recording up to 70% collection of the card so far, Ado Ekiti Darimo Ward 9 was selected for the exercise, having met the specified criteria for the simulation exercise.
It will be conducted in one registration area only in 12 selected states of the Federation, of which Ekiti State happens to belong. The registration areas to be used for the exercise are expected to cut across rural, urban, humid, riverine, hot or cold regions. Also, polling units with more than 300 voters will be selected by RECs.
Part of the working process of the card reader is access to the internet, and in the face of card readers deployed to rural areas, the Commission clears the air on this.
The use of of internet is not that critical in this exercise. It doesn't, prevent the accreditation stage, from going on. Even in a place where there is no internet at all, there's no services at all, the accreditation will go on successfully, and the election will proceed, and we'll have a good result.
With the mock exercise slated for the 7th of March, its success or failure will surely ascertain the level of INEC's preparedness for the general poll. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado Ekiti.
The senatorial candidate of the People's Democratic Party for Ogun West, Bisola Shodipo Clark, has assured women of our constituency total commitment in developing the feminine agenda, youth emancipation and quality representation of the women at federal level. She also promised total poverty eradication at all levels if voted into power.
Quality representation is beyond just making laws, it's also being able to see what the federal government has done and being able to bring those proceeds down to Ogun Central for the people. Anything that is going to cause alleviation of poverty, anything that is going to allow our youth to have jobs and to empower them, anything that is going to allow our women to be empowered, and definitely that means the whole family unit can only be good for us.
The low distribution rate of PVCs in the state, Clark called on INEC to rectify all militating factors and fast-track collection in the state as the fast
there was only 40% distribution of PVCs. I mean, are we going to say that we're going to have a free and fair election where 60% of people who are willing to vote are disenfranchised? Are we going to have a lopsided distribution and then say that it is a free and fair election? So I think that since the role of INEC is to be an independent arbiter in this election and to be able to allow the electorate to decide whom they want to come in, I believe that that starts at the ballot box, and it starts with the PVC.
The Senate has deferred the confirmation hearing for former Minister of State for Defense Musiliu Banikoro and 3 other ministerial nominees till next week. It, however, screened 4 others within a period of 2.5 hours. The senators had earlier gone into a lengthy closed-door session where issues surrounding opposition to Banikoro's nomination were discussed. Before the screening, senators went into a closed-door session lasting about 2 hours, where several issues were discussed, including the stiff opposition of APC Senate caucus to Banikoro's nomination.
The 8 ministerial nominees had arrived at the National Assembly complex early enough with a handful of supporters. But the Senate first had to go into a closed-door session. Some senators said off-camera that issues surrounding APC's opposition to Banikoro's nomination was the main agenda for discussion. After about 2 hours, the lawmakers emerged and began the exercise. First to be invited in was Patricia Akwashiki, a former senator from Nasarawa State. Her appearance, it seems, was strategic, especially as it afforded the Senate President the opportunity to remind his colleagues of the tradition.
We want you to take a bow and go, and let me also remind you that the essence of this tradition is that when you become a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you represent all your actions will impact directly or indirectly on the Senate. And therefore, we expect you to excel in whatever ministry you are given to and to be exemplary, because we will continue to watch you, and I'm sure that you do us very, very proud in the cabinet. As is the tradition, you can now take a bow and go.
Professor Nicholas Ada, retired Colonel Augustine Akobondu, and Fidelis Nwankwo did not enjoy the same privilege as they were asked questions.
The statutory provisions are that as a Deputy Vice Chancellor administration, you act in the absence of your Vice Chancellor. So those dates indicated were actually dates that I acted as Vice Chancellor when my Vice Chancellor was away.
Toll gates can provide an avenue for scrutiny, checking the vehicles and the passengers and making sure that some undesirable elements don't pass through such roads. In any case, to fight insurgency and deal with other security issues within a specific area, those charged with the responsibilities of manning security in such areas must factor in such checkpoints into their operational plans.
My last public office was as a National Commissioner in INEC, 1999 to 2004.
After the 4th nominee, the Senate President suddenly announced that the screening of the others would be deferred till next week. He did not give any reason for deferring the exercise.
The nominees answered questions from distinguished senators on a number of topical issues. The committee screened the following nominees: Senator Patricia Naomi Akwashike, Nasarawa; Professor Nicholas Akase Ada, Benue; Colonel Augustine Akubondu, retired, Abia; and Engineer Fidelis Nwankwo, Ebonyi. Further screening of nominees is deferred to next week. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the committee of the whole? Thank you.
There are, however, indications that the decision was to allow for more lobbying to clear the path for the Lagos State politician whom APC senators had insisted would not be cleared as a federal cabinet member.
A contingent of the British Army is in Nigeria to build the capacity of operational level officers on counterinsurgency. The 5-day seminar opened at the Jaji Military Cantonment in Kaduna with Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Kenneth Minima assuring Nigerians and the international community that more territory seized by Boko Haram will soon be liberated. It disclosed that the successes recorded in the last few days were as a result of joint operations between the Nigerian forces and their Cameroon, Chad and Niger counterparts. The Army Chief also expressed optimism that the seminar will further strengthen the long-standing partnership between the Nigerian and British
Now, we have been
armies.
training at the tactical level, and we requested that this training could be more beneficial if we upgrade it to the operational level. And that's the essence of today's seminar, and hence the theme, so that we upgrade the training to include the operational level training, so that formation commanders like GOCs, brigade commanders and so forth can also benefit from the military assistance training.
During the Second World War, Nigerian troops who had trained with their British brothers in arms saw action with the 1st West Africa Infantry Brigade and the 81st and 82nd West Africa Divisions, which fought in Burma. And my brigade, working in support of BMAT, has a relationship to 7th Armoured Brigade, the antecedent of 7th Infantry Brigade, was in Burma in 1942, and it handed over to the 81st West African Division in August 1943. Also, I know that a number of Nigerian Army regiments, as part of the 3rd African Brigade, specifically the 6th, 7th and 12th Battalions, served with distinction with the Chindits, as did the 6th Gurkha Rifles, the regiment I joined as a young officer, and a unit that is extremely close to my heart, as you might imagine. So it is on a solid foundation of joint successes together that we are able to focus on this seminar package that is planned for this week.
It's the CoreTV Primetime News. We take another break, and when we return, it will be with business stories.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digi360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Now to business. The federal government on Wednesday approved a request by the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment for the award of contracts by the National Automotive Council to procure auto testing laboratories, equipment and tools to be installed in designated laboratories in Lagos, Enugu and Zaria. The decision was taken at the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Goodluck Jonathan. Supervising Minister of Information Adam Duke, Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment Olusegun Aganga, Minister of Finance Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala and Minister of Environment Labara Malam briefed State House correspondents on the outcome of the meeting. Aganga said the contracts for the procurement, installation and training on the tools were awarded in the sum of 11.6 million euros with a delivery period of 36 weeks. Given further breakdown of the contracts, Aganga says under Lot 1, the contracts for the supply, installation and training on equipment for emission laboratory, Lagos awarded for 4.8 million euros. The federal government says it plans to launch cylinder project which would enable Nigerians buy cheap cylinders. This, it says, is aimed at increasing consumers' accessibility to liquefied petroleum gas or cooking gas at a cheap price. The current price of a cylinder is put at about 7,000 naira, and it is said to be too high for an average consumer in Nigeria. It says it has ordered all companies marketing LPG to donate at least 100 cylinders as a demonstration of their support for the program. A 13-member committee has also been inaugurated to see the success of the launching program. The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, LCCI, in its reaction says it would be a welcome development as LPG is a better fuel than kerosene. Bena Izoku for the stock market report for today.
CoreTV News Stock Market Report.
Hello there and welcome to the Stock Market Report segment with me, Sabena Izuku. The equity transaction on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today as the Nigerian All Shares Index appreciated by 0.05% to close at 30,614.93 basis points. The market capitalization closed at 10.21 trillion naira. In all, a total volume of 381.29 million units of shares, valued at 4.9 billion naira, were exchanged in 5,283 deals. Nestle topped the gainers chart to close at 820 naira with a price difference of 5 naira, followed by Guinness, Flour Mill, West African Production Company, and International Brewers. On the flip side, Seplat Oil topped the chart, followed by Mobil Oil, Guarantee Trust Bank, Pizza Custom, and Champion. For all the top trades, Access Bank topped the lead, followed by Zenith Bank, First Bank Nigerian Holding, Equintrust National Incorporation, and Continental Insurance. Just before we wrap up the stock market report, here is the currency trade for today. I am Sabana Izoku.
CoreTV News Stock Market Report.
And now on CoreTV Primetime News, we join Emmanuel Ezekiel for happenings in the world of sports.
Welcome to the exciting world of sports. I am Emmanuel Ezekiel. The Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, has urged the Flying Eagles to bring back medals in the 2015 Africa Youth Championship in Senegal. Speaking on behalf of the President, the Deputy Secretary General, Emmanuel Ikpeme, told the Flying Eagles that the entire country is looking up to them to win the continent's Under-20 Championship in Senegal. However, Flying Eagles coach Manu Garuba assured the NFF that the team is fired up in Senegal. The Flying Eagles will prepare ahead for their match on Sunday against their host Senegal to mark the beginning of the quest in the 2015 Africa Youth Championship. And finally, with football, Nigeria's Under-23 Olympic team attacking midfielder Kingsley Sokare has said his side will not defend the 4-1 win in Libreville against the Gabonese Under-23 Olympic side. The nation's campaigners will host the West African foes on Saturday in Abuja in the 2015 All-Africa Games in Congo, Brazzaville, reverse qualifying match. Sokare has said that his side is determined to have a repeat performance when both sides clash on Sunday in Abuja. Nigeria did not qualify for the football event of the 2011 All-Africa Games in Maputo, Mozambique. And that's how we call it quits on the world of sports. Stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
And now to other stories outside Nigeria. Prime Minister Tony Abbott on Wednesday said he was revolted by the imminent execution of 2 Australians by Indonesia as armored cars apparently carrying the 2 men left a Bali jail. Abbott has repeatedly called for Jakarta to halt the killings of Andrew Chan and Miran Sukumaran, the ringleaders of the so-called Bali 9 drug trafficking gang. But his appeals are falling on deaf ears, with television pictures showing at least 2 armored cars surrounded by riot police leaving Bali Kerubokan jail at around 5:20 a.m. Indonesian time on Wednesday. Australian media said Chan and Sukumaran were believed to be inside.
When I spoke to President Widodo last week, I made it absolutely crystal clear what Australia's position was, is and always will be. We abhor drug crime, but we abhor the death penalty. I think right now millions of Australians are feeling sick in their guts at the prospect of execution for these two. I've been saying again and again that this is contrary to Indonesia's national interest and it's contrary to Indonesia's best values. Let's maintain our values, let's maintain our respect for human life as a nation and as a society. But let's remember that a good relationship with Indonesia is very important to this country, and whatever might happen in the next few days, the relationship with Indonesia must endure, and over time it must grow stronger. But obviously this is a very difficult period for the relationship, and I hope that even at this late hour the better angels of the Indonesian people's nature will reassert themselves. Thank you.
And with that report, we'll call it a wrap on CoreTV Primetime News tonight. But before we go, a recap of our major stories. The All Progressives Congress raised the alarm over what it described as the plot by the federal government and the People's Democratic Party to rig the forthcoming general elections with the aid of foreigners. The All Progressives Congress raises the alarm over what it describes as the plot by the federal government and the People's Democratic Party to rig the forthcoming general elections with the aid of foreigners. A federal high court in Abuja has ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission to register the Young Democratic Party. Thanks so much for staying with us tonight. On behalf of the entire news crew, I am Ebulomo Adikuli, wishing you a pleasant night rest.